Well, good evening, and welcome to Beckman Auditorium, to Caltech, and another of our Movies That Matter programs. If it was a live performance, I'd encourage you all to come as far forward as you can, but I know each of us has our own favorite place to sit when we're watching a movie. So I hope you have found yours, and scattered as you are, it's all perfectly fine. I'm Michael Alexander, and as of about a month ago, I got a new title. I'm the Campus Arts and Culture Liaison, which I've just found out means that I can't just lay around. I have to actually, I thought lays was, all right, sorry, I should have been somewhere else. Movies That Matter is a series that we created at the time that the pandemic closed down all live performances. And we did a few of them virtually, but we're now back to doing them exclusively live. And it's an opportunity for us to work with primarily documentary filmmakers, folks who create mostly out of passion. The subjects that they cover they're just driven to meet people, to document what is going on and share, fortunately, their great art and their talent with the rest of us. And we've covered a range of subjects, some of them dealing with civic issues, others dealing with science issues, and this one dealing with a blend. The artists here involved with us are Bao Bao Chen and Tim Cole, a husband and wife team, and they'll be joining us later. And we'll be doing a Q&A at the end of this presentation, and you got cards. So after the movie, if you have questions, you can put them on those cards, hold them up, and our ushers will collect them, send them up here to me, and I'll read them. They are going to be joining us by Zoom from their home in Taiwan. I want to thank our sponsors and partners, the Caltech Y, the Caltech Center for Inclusion and Diversity, and of course, this week, the Caltech team that is working on Earth Week. This is one of the events that Caltech is using to mark our participation in the general community's celebration of Earth Week and a recognition of what a crisis we're sort of all facing, and this movie is certainly going to be addressing that. We also get support from the Caltech Federal Credit Union and also from the Friends of Beckman Auditorium. And we'd like to encourage you to become friends of Beckman Auditorium. Your support has enabled us to do a number of programs, particularly right now for young people. We've got an online science series called Science Journeys, and they're aimed at middle school and high school students. They're available on demand, and they're in an archive. You can watch them. I didn't take any science after high school, so I watch these things and I'm learning all kinds of new stuff. It's appropriate for all of us in the audience as it is for the high school students. They're really great programs, and we've just started doing them bilingually. We've had 2 done in Spanish and are making the rest of the world know that they can now tune in from their countries, at least from the Spanish-speaking countries at this point, and get a chance to hear from grad students talking about the science that they are researching on their way toward PhDs. If you want to find out more about the programs that we're doing out of my office or that are taking place on campus, you can sign up at events.caltech.edu, and we'll send a once a month newsletter and maybe a few other notices, but usually not more than 1 or 2 things are sent out a month. Tomorrow night, you might want to come back. We have our Watson series. This is a series that's gone back over 100 years now. And tomorrow night's Watson is going to be presented by Professor Karthik Mantharam. And he is going to be doing a talk about the electrifying and decarbonizing chemical synthesizing. It's going to be a revelation to me, and I hope that you'll join us for that presentation. I'm looking forward to learning something very new tomorrow night. Our Movies That Matter series continues in May. On the 16th of May, 4 weeks from tonight, we'll be showing the film Who Killed Vincent Chin? And it's part of our recognition of Asian American Pacific Islander Month and is dealing with the murder in Detroit 40 plus years ago of a Chinese American engineer at a time when there was a lot of hostility toward Asians because the Japanese auto market, or auto industry, was affecting the US auto market, and 2 auto workers killed him, and it's created quite a controversy because they never spent a day in jail, the 2 fellows that were involved in that. So we're showing that film, and the filmmaker will be with us as well. Her name is Renee Tajima Pena, and she'll be here for a Q&A following that showing. On July 11th, we're going to be showing a film called Chasing Coral, and it is coming out of Exposure Labs in Boulder, Colorado, and is a film, part of their series looking at various impacts of climate change. And so that's the first of the films that we'll be showing in the fall. We'll be showing their film Chasing Ice. We will also host an online Behind the Books program at the end of the month of May on the 31st. It's our magazine edition, and you can go to our website to get more information about that. We also want to remind you that if you go to that website and check things out, you'll find out about the Coleman Chamber Music Series, which is also using Beckman as their home venue. So, please take a moment to silence your cell phones, find the nearest exit in case there's emergency, and just sit back and enjoy this film. Before we go, I just want to remind you about the question and answer period. They'll come on and we'll do about a 30-minute Q&A. They're at home in Taiwan. So you can fill out those cards and our ushers will pick them up. So now we are proud to present Small Island, Big Song. I'd like to introduce the producer, Bao Bao Chen, and her husband, the director, Tim Cole. And we are thrilled to have them. I'm just going to say good morning tomorrow morning to you because it's already Wednesday where you are. But thank you very much. I'd like the audience to express our appreciation for what we've just seen. Audience members, please remember you can fill out the little white cards. Some of you may got the pink cards with questions. They'll come my way, and I'll be able to address them to Tim and Bao Bao. I'd like to start by asking you, you've had a chance now to take this production around the world. I first met Bao Bao and Tim at a world music conference called WOMEX in Finland in 2019. They'd already been to the United States with a live production featuring many of these artists and played South by Southwest in Texas. And then in 2022, they toured the United States, but they've been taking this around to many other countries. And I'd like to ask you if you could tell us a little bit about where these people are, how they are fitting into their own societies as people who are protecting their own cultures and are keenly aware of the impact of climate change. And is it a universal understanding where they live, or are they part of a rare community of people that understand what is possibly going to be happening, or maybe definitely going to be happening if we don't make some important steps in the next half decade or so?
As Michael mentioned, we toured around the US last year for 4 months to almost 30 different universities and performing arts centers. And Selena was one of the core members of the touring ensemble. She got to share a lot of her concerns about her island, which is the Marshall Islands. And she was the youngest speaker at COP21.
Yeah, that's right.
And she often talked about how climate change is affecting her island. And now, as we might not actually achieve keeping the global temperature under 1.5, they are looking at ways to move out of the island, and they only have 80 years left. So there are some very pressing concerns happening right now.
It's quite clear now that the low-lying atoll countries won't survive the rising sea levels, and we're not going to keep levels to under 1.5. So they are looking, they're firmly aware, absolutely.
Yeah, but then also, if for us, this film, it's a celebration as well. It's a celebration from everyone, as well as our concerts. We present these songs about these issues, but in the same time, we hope these songs, these performances are comforting everyone. And also comforting the musicians too, and everyone's community.
We've got a wonderful array of questions here. Something that came to my mind was asked by one of our audience members as well, is how were you able to coordinate and harmonize the music played in various locations? Did you use playback so that they could hear what was being played elsewhere?
Yeah, this was my work. I've been working on cross-cultural projects in the Pacific and in Aboriginal Australia, for almost 3 decades when we began this project. So we devised ways that we could do this recording and create this cultural statement about not just these people, but as humanity, our relationship to nature, to the earth. And our way was to begin a song on one island with a person that identifies as the traditional custodian, and ask them to share a song which they're proud to represent their homeland, their culture with, and to take us to a place in nature, only use the instruments shaped by their culture and the languages. And then we took that song to another island where we met a similar person, they're keeping their culture alive. And after recording their song in a similar way, we'd play that last song back to them on headphones. And they'd listen to it and with an introduction from the person that recorded it. And they might even go, yeah, I know Charles from the Solomons. Yeah, what's this song? And then they would improvise something on the spot, like on the second listen to the song. So that was a way we thought that we could then share the songs around without us writing it. As I do consider myself like a custodian of Australia. I'm not Indigenous Aboriginal Australian, but it is my country of birth, and I do have a responsibility to the nature of Australia. But I'm not an Indigenous custodian of the places where we went. So we really had a way of that these artists could create this cultural statement, and we simply carried the equipment around. While I was producing, I made choices where I would edit in because everyone did 3 overdubs. So I had to make decisions what parts to use. But then there was a dialogue of all the files traveling around and everyone okaying everything and cultural connections too, because sometimes things weren't quite appropriate and we had to make changes. Yeah.
Was there any resistance by any of the musicians to leaving their culture and letting somebody else's culture be added to theirs in the creation of this music?
There was one particular moment, and that was fine. They felt it wasn't appropriate for, and it's extraordinary, this singing the Pasi Put Put from the Bunun people of Taiwan. Actually, this is partly their custodial land we're on now, the land of the Bunun people. This beautiful chanting harmonic piece they did, we mixed with Kukui Kanikaheli when she was on the volcano and in Hawaii, and that one they didn't feel was appropriate. It was a strong piece, but it wasn't the right appropriate connection with that song, so we changed that.
There was also another one. I remember someone added a drill harp onto someone's song, and they said, in the original songwriter said the drill harp only can be used in the funeral in their culture, so they don't feel appropriate to add that.
Yeah.
So there are things like that along the way, and
so we've worked with these artists we work with. They're also recognized as cultural advisors and voices in their country. Mm-hmm. So So whenever we traveled through places like the Calabat Highlands in Borneo with Alana Morang, and we worked with the elders from her community, the communities up there, it was with her as the go-between. It was with her describing the project, with her making sure that the copyright, the money, story, everything is handled in the right way. So we always had cultural consultants, advisors in between us and any areas, we weren't sure on.
Well, this is a very short question, but I'm sure it's on many people's minds. Is the soundtrack available to purchase?
Yeah,
it is. Actually, it's also on Spotify, on a lot of the streaming platform. You can find some asset or some of the songs, even the video on YouTube. Just type Small Island Big Song. And we do have DVD in Taiwan in our house.
yeah.
So if you can purchase on our website and we'll send it over. But we also have American tour next spring. So if you are around, you can come and meet us and we can hand it to you.
Yeah, they'll be there as merch.
That would be wonderful. And we will tell our audiences when we know that you're coming here. I don't know if we're going to be able to do you at Caltech or not, but I hope that there's going to be a Southern California appearance as there was in 2022 in San Pedro, and see if we can make sure that people know about the performances and come to them. Here's another question. How did you choose the locations and people? How did you earn their trust? And to what extent did you find that the communities you profiled struggle with economic development versus cultural and environmental preservation? Two very different kinds of questions.
That's right back at the start. Yeah, we know there are point out countries. There are some countries, where the immediate needs are feeding family and community, and then big picture things like climate change, which are actually impacting that. And coral reefs are dying, and there are less fish. Seasons are changing on Vanuatu. The chief there, he showed us a box full of the sweet potato roots, yam roots, and he missed the planting season, and he had to advise the whole community because a certain flower didn't flower at the right time because of seasonal changes, and they missed a whole year's crop. Which is their basic. And there are no supermarkets in this place, and the cargo ships rarely make it in. Every 3 months, 4 months, maybe if the tides are right. So it's so they are issues, but they're aware too that it is climate change, and that actually region was the first declared climate refugees by the United Nations in the early 90s, I think. The musicians, I'd been working in the industry for some time, so we knew a few to begin with. And then it was going to events like Womex and making contacts, meeting people, and
they never respond to our emails.
Some don't respond.
So we have to, most of the time we just, land in one country and just by word of mouth. And we have some people we identify and we like to work with, but like, for example, when we landed in Hawaii, we didn't have any musicians already organized. We went to a music festival, and during the interval, they did a announcement saying, right now, Kawana Torres Kahili is signing his CD at the booth. And then we look at each other and say, he's the one didn't reply to our message.
Messages and emails.
So we went and talked to him, and he said, I remember you guys. I only have 2 days until I fly to Japan, but I'll bring you to my island. So we flew to his island the next day, and that's how you got to see a lot of the footage. He played ipu, the gourd instrument in a new growth on the lava. And he also introduced us to Kukuhi, who performed a song on the ring of a volcano. So often it's just happened really naturally and organically.
And about trust,
Yeah.
Like some musicians I knew, and some of those, like actually all the people, we were so fortunate. They're actually they're the most highly respected musicians from that region.
Mm.
Pretty much everyone, now from Gus Teja to Horomona Horo or Mihi Hotere from Aotearoa, musicians in Papua New Guinea, Rajer, Trika, Sammy, who we tour with regularly. And the way we'd introduce ourselves, also some people knew other musicians I've been recording with, and they knew that I managed these projects, right way, as they say. And that helped. I've been working in this scene for some time, so I knew the ways to manage cultural protocols and copyright and contracts, that reassured them. And we also approached people who were professional musicians. So they understood the way the industry worked, the way all the aspects of the industry work. So they could see that this was managed the right way. Yeah.
I just want to personally say that I really respect what you've just said about honoring the copyrights. It's not universal, but there's still the need for those of us in the world where there's great monetization of music to be respectful of the people who create the music, and if there is money being made, to share it with them. And the fact that you brought that up is something that's very important and reflects, I think, something on how you probably did go about building trust, that you showed yourselves to be very honorable people, and I'm sure that they've encountered many who are not. Here's a question, and people start by just saying thank you for a wonderful film. And it says, what languages are spoken in the film? And it made me wonder if some of these languages are as threatened as everything else, and do they have a second or third language that becomes the connecting language between the peoples that live within some of these countries that probably have hundreds of languages if you go back 100, 200, 300 years?
Yeah, it's interesting you asked about the language, because that's actually another theme in the song, besides all the environmental issues and themes. So all these islands, the first language, the indigenous language of these islands, are actually part of a language group called Austronesian. And it's been shown through a lot of the DNA study and migration study that these language originally came from Taiwan around 5,000 years ago. So the indigenous people of Taiwan designed the ocean-going canoes and started to set sail from Taiwan to the Philippines, Indonesia, Malaysia, and across the Pacific, and also the Indian Ocean to Madagascar. So that was one of the reasons why we went to these islands. It's not just because they're islands, but also because everyone on the indigenous people of these islands can connect each other through this language, common seafaring heritage. And it was really interesting for us when we first first time when we brought everyone together for concert. I remember, we went into a rehearsal room and we all sat around in a circle, and everyone had different first languages, and colonizing languages, but they started to count from 1 to 10 in their own language, and they just found so many numbers are just the same everywhere. And this is from the indigenous Taiwanese, different languages, Rapa Nui, Easter Island, Madagascar, Aotearoa, New Zealand, Solomon Islands, Borneo. And Borneo in Malaysia. So, and then that is just one little example, but they're
over half the Earth's surface.
Yeah, and
Madagascar to Easter Island.
They're also like instrument, like valia. You see in the film the bamboo instrument with strings. That instrument also traveled with the seafarers, and you can see that instrument in lots of different islands in different form.
Every instrument, every person, every voice, every location, every shot, every sound is connected to the Austronesian heritage, except for my sweaty back you see at one moment changing a mic and Babao wandering down the beach at one moment, but everything is connected to that.
Yeah,
And
so
it's interesting to me that as close as Madagascar is to Africa, that it was Taiwanese sailors that started the inhabitation of that island.
Yeah.
The musician who I'm blanking on his name right now, the one with the deformed hand. I don't know if you got to see him. I got to see him in a company that was called 3Ms.
At
He's
Womex.
from Madagascar. There was another musician from Mali and another musician from Morocco. And the three of them had put together a very, very interesting program celebrating their individual cultures and then the cross-cultural work that they did together. Was there a lot of willingness on people's part to play outside of their own culture comfort zone?
Yeah, we found that.
Yes.
A lot of they loved the idea and connecting with other musicians.
Yeah, like actually 2 days ago, 2 days ago, we just finished a concert at Taiwan's National Concert Hall as part of TIFA, Taiwan International Festival for the Arts. And I think we just had the best time. We love connecting and love gathering together. And even, we've been touring since 2018. So it's been 4-5 years on the road with everyone. And even now, I sometimes feel like these performances just an excuse for us to meet each other again. And we will have very long rehearsal and then have some extra time after the show. So it became like a family on the road. And we all know each other's character, personality.
And it's an ensemble piece. So it's not like one musician does their piece and everyone's off stage. If we're doing an Indigenous Amis harvest song, everyone in that group has to learn phonetically, has to learn the whole chant, the whole song, and the dance. If we're doing Sega rhythms, everyone has to learn Sega rhythms, and now half the group play Ravans and the Maravans. Yeah,
but then also they bring in something from their culture as well. So it's not just one way.
Share. Yeah, of course. It's all shit. That's what I was saying. It's all sharing. And then they're bringing that into their own music. We're writing their own songs. Suddenly now there's this movement of Sega music into Taiwanese music, Indigenous music, which is full circle. Here they are. Culture coming back to here where it initiated from.
Yeah.
We have only a few more minutes. I've got a couple more questions I want to share with you. One is, it's actually from two different people, but I think we can combine them. Were all of the songs original for the film? And do the musicians play on a daily basis? Do they play these songs or do they play their instruments on a daily basis?
So the first one, some songs we didn't say to anyone what to play, what to wear, where to take us. We just asked traditional instruments and languages. So we left it up to them. Some they had songs written already in the theme, some they wrote for it, some were traditional pieces they felt appropriate. And they're all professional musicians. You can't stop them. Someone like Sammy, every day, he's building instruments, he's making instruments.
Not just Sammy, everyone.
And you wouldn't. We finish a show and you think everyone would be tired. All the instruments are out in the van on the way home. We get home, then it just doesn't stop. They just
often like till 3 o'clock in the morning. We had a police came to our Airbnb. He said we're too noisy.
But it's all good spirit. It's all good spirit.
Yeah. I was fascinated when I saw the long line of women in the body of water all splashing as a percussion instrument. And the question here is, how come there aren't more instruments that use water?
I don't know. I mean, why not? I'm not sure. I don't know the answer for that, but that's quite a unique cultural tradition from the Banks Islands in Vanuatu. And that's the region I said was the first region to be declared climate refugees by the UN. yeah, that's such a beautiful place. Sometimes we pinch ourselves. That was the other thing, to do something that was really for us celebrating our love for this beautiful planet we share. You know, to go to these places and meet these people that are the custodians and live there and hang out and get in that water, filming them and working with them. It was a lot of fun. It was very playful. It was a lot of fun doing that. Yeah.
So someone asked here, how long did you spend on making this movie? And someone else asked, what is your next project going to be?
Uh-huh. How long did we
probably over 4 years altogether, longer, 5 years, because we did it all ourselves. We never actually got funding for the film.
Yeah.
So we were trying. So I edited it all on the laptop we're talking into now, and the sound. I do professionally. I do film, not always quite to that feature film level, but feature sound I do. 5.1 surround for major Australian films. So I knew that side. And our first album, we traveled around and met people on their islands and took the songs around. The second album, during COVID, we had to record remotely. So our next project, and we're so excited, and we're putting it all together now. We're going to put the two ideas together, and we're going to take those core group musicians who are with us now, on tour with us now, to each other's islands. We're going to record grassroots in nature on their islands, connecting with local environmental issues, and write the songs right there, record them, film them, and reframe them into a theatrical show, a performing arts piece that Michael absolutely will be bringing to Caltech. Thumbs up. He gave us a thumbs. Yeah. For the Performing Arts Network, and a film as well, another film. Yeah.
There was the reference in the film that the rising sea is causing the taro crop to die in one of the islands. And there were a number of other references to the threats of climate change. And I think this might be a good final question, is what can we do here in the US to be of the most practical help to these treasured environments and the indigenous communities and musicians?
Please. No, you get.
I think for me, this is a question for everyone. Like 8 years ago, when we heard the IPCC report, I'm just a producer, and I was backpacker as well. And Tim, he has all the skill of music production and film production, and we asked ourselves, what can we do? What is the thing that probably only the two of us together can do for this issue?
Yeah.
And that's when we quit our jobs within 1 month, and we started this project. And now, look, often on the road, I'll look around and see each other. We're with so many like-minded people supporting each other on this path, walking forward and doing something we love, and something which is important for everyone. So I think sometimes, we just have to believe ourselves that we have a power to make a change. And the answer of what to do, I think it varies from person to person, but I'm sure once we believe in ourselves.
Yeah, look at our area of influence and agency, and it's everyone knows this. Like, we make our choices to express our truth. Every choice we make, every step we take. So. And
of course, like, along the way, we had to learn a lot of new things.
Yeah.
So many things.
Which I'm sorry, Mr.
We've learned a lot. We
watched a lot of YouTube tutorials
and made changes and adjusted the way we do things to express our truth in stronger ways.
Well, the program you put together with the live program with the artists on stage is very seductive. It starts in the first half with lots and lots of music, and then the musicians on stage in the second half combine that music with almost a call to action. and they're challenging the audience, much as you just said, to each to take a step, to do something that they can do, whether it's writing letters to politicians or in other ways, become activists in addressing the impact of climate change. And I thought it was a very clever way to do purposeful art. And I appreciated what you did there for us in the audience in San Pedro, and I'm sure elsewhere. And I hope that this film, and I'm sure I'm speaking for the audience, I hope that this film continues to be a good message around the world to people that we haven't got a lot of time if we want to see those islands survive and our own cultures survive in every place on the earth. Can we give our own thanks again to Bao Bao Chen and to Tim Cole, and thank them very, very much for joining us this evening here and tomorrow morning where they are. Thank you all. Tomorrow night is a Watson lecture. A week from 4 weeks from tonight is the film Who Killed Vincent Chen. We hope you'll be back for that. Don't forget that you can check us out at events.caltech.edu. Thank you both, and I look forward to seeing you at the next WOMEX conference.
Yeah, and thank you, Michael, for your personal support for this project. Thank you.
Thank you.